Hey everyone, and welcome to Soul Talk with Sonia. I'm Sonia, and guess what? We're continuing with The Weight is Killing My Flesh, hot off the press. I had to do a part two take because flesh and fresh got mixed up. Anywho, so this is take two. The Weight is Killing My Flesh, hot off the press. Yes, you can find it on Amazon. All right, so the waiting room. Who hasn't been in the waiting room? And when you're in the waiting room, it can be excruciating, difficult, trying. God, but you promise. Where is the manifestation? Where are the blessings? Where is what you promised me? Because it's not happening. Don't get weary in well doing. Don't stop doing good, saying good, being good because you're in a wait. Don't turn to rebellion. That's a trick of the enemy. God hasn't moved as fast as you wanted him to move, and then you going back out in the streets working for the devil. Don't do it. If you have backslidden because you're in the waiting room and it had not manifested the promises yet, go back to God. That's the safest place you can be. Your longest wait, your longest days with God, gonna be better than your days with the devil. Trust me on that, because you do not want to go back and worship and the devil and be in his kingdom, which is nothing but evil and darkness, and it gets you nowhere. So I get the frustration, the irritation, maybe even the depression, irritability, all of that. Been there. So today we're going to talk about how to rest, how to just relax, even though you are done. No other way to say it, I'm just done. Until God had maxed out the waiting room. I'm so done with waiting. Waiting on a husband, waiting on healing, waiting on business growth. All of that. And it was a lot. And you still trying to smile and keep the right attitude. Oh, you gotta be real. God, I'm tired of this. God, this is too much. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with God. So I talk about, before we get to rest, the difference between waiting on God and waiting with God. So we can work against God. We say, oh, we're waiting on God, but you're not working with Him. You're actually working against Him. So that's when you start being impatient, taking matters into your own hand, manipulating the situation. You're working against Him when you're not really trying to learn the lessons He's trying to teach you. You have a bad attitude when you're not kind to people because you're tired of being in the waiting room, when you're making excuses about not doing what you're supposed to do in the waiting room. You're working against Him, you're fighting, as opposed to accepting, I'm in the waiting room. This is what it is. And God, I'm going to wait with you. I'm going to learn the lessons. I'm going to surrender to this process. But here's the thing about being in the waiting room. When God is working on killing your flesh, He's giving you grace to be in the wait. He has given you the tools to be in the waiting room, but you have to use the tools. If you don't use them, you're going to work against Him, and it's just not going to be good, because you may say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and do such and such. And that's not God's will for your life. So once you accept, this is not an ordinary wait, I'm in the waiting room. God has me waiting, and I don't know how long I'm going to be here. It's accepting that. I'm in the waiting room, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I'm going to wait out. And I'm not going to take matters into my own hands because I'm impatient. Then you're going to have to surrender. Surrender those deadlines and timelines. Surrender when you thought it was going to happen. Surrender all of that. And say, God, whenever you will this for my life, that's when you're going to will it. Because I can't make it happen. Okay? Then, after you surrender, you're going to have to submit. Submission has to do with your attitude, making sure you have the right attitude. In the waiting room, you're not going to be perfect. You are going to have some negative emotions. You're going to get tired, frustrated, irritated, agitated, all the tables. But God is with you. And you're going to have moments and you're going to repent and God's going to forgive you and you're going to keep it moving. And guess what? You're going to get frustrated, agitated again in the way. Repent. God says, okay, let's do this again. It's a process. Okay? So submit, have the right attitude. God, help me to have the right attitude. What helps you is worship, prayer, going on fast, getting out the house, getting you some vitamin D, going for a walk. You have to take care of yourself as you're in the waiting room. And you don't disconnect from God. You connect with God. You're trying to draw closer to Him. That's why He says, draw closer to me and I draw closer to you. So you have the first move. This waiting room is difficult. It's going to be challenging. And so the goal is for you to get closer to God. Draw closer, not away. And you draw away when you start listening to the devil. He don't care about you. How long he think you're going to do this? No, you can go out and you can do such and such. Don't do it. Don't take matters in your own hands. Don't manipulate. But wait. Okay. After you have surrendered, you submitted, have the right attitude, then you learn lessons. I was teaching you some things in the waiting room. So get out your notepad, iPad, and just take lessons. Review them on a regular basis. You can't say, I did this. Come on, God, show me the lessons, I'll get out of here. That ain't gonna work, because He don't work that way. Oh, okay, so you're just trying to hurry up and learn this, but are you really learning so you can leave? God ain't falling for that. No, it's not gonna work. Okay, then next phase. These are the steps in the book. You come into rest. So I talked about the 5 stages before, but I want to just talk about how you rest. What does that mean? Come to me, those that are heavy laden and burdened, and I will give you rest. God wants you to come into a rest because the weight, W-A-I-T, can become a weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, a heaviness, a burden, because you're so focused on get me out, get me out, get me out. You're not focused on the process, the growth, the maturity that God is trying to get in you. Because evidently, you're not ready for the next level. Because if you were ready, you would need to be in the waiting room. So you're in the waiting room so He can prepare you for what He has for you next. God is not going to give you what you asked for prematurely. Because if He gives it to you, you're not ready, you will lose it. And that's just not how He operates. He's a God of order. So once you are ready, He will manifest His promises. And He's not going to do it any sooner, so you might as well wait with Him in the waiting room. Okay, rest. The first thing you need to rest is this: the mind. The mind is so powerful. And the mind and the body talk to each other. The body gets its messages from the mind. So if the mind is in distress, the body can't rest. So it's like, I'm getting 8 hours of sleep, but I still wake up tired. Yeah, because your mind is still thinking and working while you sleep. So you have to come into a rest. And you can't come into a rest until you surrender. There's no way around that. You can't rest if you haven't surrendered. You must surrender so that you can rest. So it's a lot of humility that goes in the waiting room. You're going to have to humble yourself. Humility looks like, God, I don't get why I'm here. Why am I here? Why is this taking so long? I have all of these questions. It's like Job, right? He was like, I'm a good guy. Why did all this calamity, tragedy, trauma happen to me? He's trying to figure out, and his friends trying to figure it out. He fussing. They fussing at each other, all this stuff. And God is silent. He has not said anything to Job until right after he comes out the waiting room. That's when God is talking to Job. So you surrender your heart to God. God, okay, I'm going to wait with you in this waiting room. I'm going to learn my lessons. I don't know it all. Without you, I'm nothing. It's a humility. I think of humility, I think of going down. I think of bowing down. Because we are servants. God don't work for you. You work for him. And so it's a going down, it's a surrendering. God, you know what's best for me. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing. God, if you don't wake me up, I won't awaken. I am indebted to you. God, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to let you handle everything. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to have that faith in you that I'm wavering faith, and I'm going to grow. Whatever you want to do, God, in me, in this waiting room, God, I'm going to let you do it. You have permission to do it. That's surrendering. That's humility. I am nothing without you. I can't do this waiting room without you. And God has already given you a grace, a peace. If you stop worrying, if you stop trying to figure stuff out up here, he'll give you that peace while you're in the waiting room. But that's a process. You don't get that right away. You have to go through the process, go through these stages. Because you can be in more than one stage at a time. You start with accepting. I'm in the waiting room. These are my stages of being in the waiting room. Surrender. Submit. Learn the lessons. Rest. But the rest is like kind of sort of maybe towards the end after you've gone through all the rigmarole, right? So now I wouldn't say I'm in a waiting room now. I wouldn't say that. I am waiting on some things, but it hasn't been years. So that's why I wouldn't say I'm in the waiting room. I am waiting, but my whole outlook is totally different. That's what Job says. I knew you before. I've seen you before, God, moving my life. He like, but now, oh, I see you. This on a whole nother level. So that's where I am. So my posture is, God, you're going to do this when you want to do it, how you want to do it. So I'm not even giving you suggestions. I have no pointers. I'm just, you're sovereign. You're going to do it when you want. My posture is, my mindset is totally different. Because I went through so much in the last wait. I'm not doing that foolishness I did last time. I'm just not doing it. And I see God totally different. I said to God, you don't have to prove yourself to me anymore. Because when I came out, God gave me more than what I asked for, more than what I was waiting for. So he is a man of his word. He is the only constant in my life. Because people say, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Your spouse, your kids, your mama, your dad. Oh, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do this. God is the only constant. He's the only one in the world that cannot lie. So when he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it in his timing, not on your time schedule. And you got to release that. Surrender the timeline, the deadline, the age criteria. Surrender all of that. Because God don't care nothing about that. That's human being stuff. He is spiritual. God is a spirit. He don't care about no age, what age you are. God, I stutter. God tell you to do something, you give him all types of excuses why you can't do it. He don't hear none of that. He already knew that. He created you. So he knew your weaknesses, your flaws, your insecurity. He already know that. He don't care nothing about that. He don't care nothing about your age. He don't care nothing about that. So when you get over that, you will be God wants you to be free. So change the thinking about being in the waiting room. It's not torture, it's not punishment, it's a process. So you have to embrace the process so you can learn your lessons, so you can grow, so you can mature, and then God will kindly promote you out of the waiting room. So come into a rest, rest your mind, meditate, do your guided imagery. When you're feeling stress, tension in your body, God is going to wait with you. God, I thank God, I worship. Go into worship, put some worship music on. That'll change your whole atmosphere. Pray, speak in tongues, go on and fast. Toolbox, get your toolbox out. Do those things. But don't focus on get me out, get me out, get me out. Because what you focus on is only going to prolong you being in the waiting room. When you want to hurry, God says, oh, okay, she's not even ready. He's not even ready. So don't try to rush the process. Rest your mind, you're just going to rest your body, but you have to surrender and submit in order to rest. Resting does not mean worry. You can't do both, can't rest and worry. So you give it to God and let it go. You have to write it down and shred it. Write it down and rip it up. Whatever it is that's plaguing you, let it go so that you can rest. God wants you to come into a rest. He don't want you to stress. He wants you to come into a rest. Relax. Give it to Him. But don't do a dance. You give it to Him and you take it back. God, give this to you. God, let you handle it. They get on my nerves. They drive me crazy. And then you start worrying. You take it back. No. Surrender it and come into a rest. I'm not going to let anybody steal my joy and my peace. Not even me. Because you can steal your own joy and peace by worrying, ruminating on stuff. Come into rest. I'm in this waiting room. Learn my lessons. Want to grow. God, let's do this. I know money funny. Been there. Money tight. You're doing things you don't want to do. Humility. That's what it's called. I would go in the store. I had no car, no job, and a mortgage. And bills. So I had borrowed my sister's car one day. So I said, I'm going to the store. So we went to shop. I would have been stuck in the house. Me and God in the waiting room. So I think she had gone in town. I had a car for the weekend or week. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm like, who am I out of prison? So going to these stores, and every store I went to, you know how they have hangers on the floor, clothes on the floor. And God would say to me, pick it up. I'm thinking, first I'm like, okay, that's not God. Then I kept hearing, like, okay, that's God. It's definitely not the devil telling me to do that. He said, pick it up. I will pick it up. God, why are we doing this? Pick it up. Humility. You must lower yourself. You must abase yourself before God will elevate you. Pick it up. I mean, I was broken. I was, look in the refrigerator, there's no food. I was in, that was right before God revealed to me my purpose. I wanted to know what it was. I knew what it wasn't. It wasn't what I was doing. God shut everything down. Me and God in the house. No car, no job, no nothing. Mortgage, bills, that's what I had. I cried out to God, and it was a place of humility. Right? But until I learned the lessons, I wasn't coming out of the waiting room. God wants what is best for you. He loves you with an everlasting love. He's a God of love. He's a God of peace. He's a God of grace. He's a God of restoration. God will restore you and give you. I said to God, I know you gave Job double. I said, I want quadruple me for my trouble. You have not because you ask not. Then I thought, well, maybe I'm being greedy. God said, I'm not going to withhold nothing good from you. Job got double. He says, no respect to person. Why I can't get quadruple? Okay. So, God has blessed me. He wants to bless you. And He just wants you to learn the lessons. He wants you to grow. What's in you needs to get out because in the flesh is nothing good. So He wants you to come into rest. And He will give you more than what you expected because you passed the test of being in the waiting room. So use your toolbox, be blessed, and come into a place called rest. See you next time.